How's everybody doing out there? I'm going to do a little bit of a reading. I want you guys to hear this. This is from Secrets of the Samurai. The Art of Kiai. A unique position among the unarmed combats, the unarmed methods of combat, indeed among all the specializations of Bujitsu, was that occupied by the art of Kiai. Even in feudal Japan, with its ready acceptance of mystical interpretations of phenomenon, this art was considered esoteric and even miraculous. In this art, unarmed combat reached the zenith of sophistication since there was no visible physical contact between opponents, and the techniques or strategies of combat were reduced to the extension of pure immaterial in the sense of not visible to the naked eye. Power sufficient to overwhelm the weaker of the two combatants. Kiai, like Akea, with which it is often used interchangeably in the doctrine of Bujitsu, embraces the now familiar concepts of harmony and spirit, or energy. Harrison wrote that the word Kiai, in a compound of ki meaning mind, will, turn of mind, spirit, etc., and Ia, the concentration of the verb wasa, signifying to unite. As this combination actually suggests, it denotes a condition in which two minds are united into one in such a manner that the stronger controls the weaker. As such, Kiai marks the point in Bujitsu where the outer factors of these arts, weapons, and techniques were subordinated to factors of an inner nature, control, and power, which according to the leading masters of the warrior arts, made those arts truly effective and relevant in combat. Unfortunately, very little is known in Japan, and even less elsewhere, about the art of Kiai, which being based upon a concept as broad as ki, was understandably characterized by a certain vagueness in theory, while in practice it was often used as a smokescreen to conceal downright fraud. There are many examples in the literature of the martial arts, especially in connection with Kenjutsu, of extraordinary powers which are supposedly displayed by self-styled masters of Bujitsu, who often mastered various arts of misinterpretation, based on hypnosis or exaggerated dexterity, far better than they ever mastered any form of Bujitsu. And of course, as we will see later in greater detail, ki was often used in the sense of energy, spirit, character, and therefore personality. A magnetic personality has always been able to call upon strong powers of projection and suggestion, and these can often be used to prevent combat or to win it. There is an episode, for example, said to involve a samurai who was set upon in the woods by a pack of wolves. According to the story, he merely kept walking straight ahead, his countenance so stable, aware, and potentially explosive that the animals were frozen in their tracks. While he passed safely through their midst, other episodes mention men lying in ambush only to confront a victim who simply by gazing at them terrorized them so effectively that they were immobilized. One particular vector of this power, actually a technique used to convey that power to its intended target, was the human voice. Kiai was a name generally given to that specific method of combat based upon the employment of the voice as a weapon. A bushai of the higher ranks was expected to master this technique, and in time certain warriors refined the practice of Kiai until it became an art complete and end of itself, due to the importance of deep abdominal breathing and mental projection and the channeling of a shout in a coordinated direction. There are indirect indications in the doctrine of Bujitsu that Zen masters, usually in monasteries or other isolated retreats, were particularly accomplished teachers of Kiai. Zen, in fact, made abundant use of these disciplines, which were considered essential in developing and stabilizing that condition of detachment and interior balance, within which spiritual enlightenment was generally considered unattainable. The origins of the art of Kiai are closely identified with the image of a man facing a hostile reality. The shout has undoubtedly been one of his first reactions to danger, whether in an effort to summon assistance or in order to warn friends. The fact that the shout, even if passive, could cause a dangerous foe to waver in his aggressive intent or actually halt his attack, perhaps because in other instances that vocal vibration had indeed brought disaster to the attacker, in the shape of other members of his intended victim's tribe, could very well have been the beginning of the active use of human voice as part of a strategy of combat which almost all militant societies of the past have used extensively, The shouts of armies reverberating under leaden skies often seemed to shake the gods from their slumber, and indeed had such a quality of invocation that a foe of lesser vocal potency might well shiver involuntarily and look around him fearfully, as if anticipating the arrival of an unseen host. The Greek and Roman legions were well versed in the paralyzing effect of a sudden clamor erupting from the depths of the usually silent forest, to which they would respond with ferocious answering cries of the din of many instruments. The theory advanced by Gilby concerning the origin of the word panic is particularly revealing. The hills of Greece were said to have trembled at the sound of Pan's shout. As the god of fertility inexhaustibly expressed his vitality in the joy of seasonal harvest, or even his ferociousness to the act of violent insemination, the epic literature of North Africa and the Middle East, from the Phoenicians to the Assyrians, from the Persians to the Hebrews, also resounds with piercing battle cries. Sometimes the warriors half crazed by their own vocal concentration. The hypnotic effect of such a total shout was not lost upon the knights who jousted during the Middle Ages in continental and Eastern Europe. The Muslim and Mongolian hordes in particular knew and respected this power. In fact, when European knights faced its Eastern warriors, it often required another type of mental concentration, bordering upon fanaticism. To reduce the crippling effects of this form of sonic onslaught directed against the eardrums and battering the brain with its refined and sensitive receptors, and it required a progression of cymbals, drums, and horns in classic times, drums and trumpets, and the piercing, strangely chilling wail of bagpipes in the Middle Ages and beyond, and finally the total explosions of modern warfare to reduce, if not entirely eliminate, the strategic relevance of a single man's shout in the West. In the East, from India to China, Tibet, Korea, and Japan, the tactical value of the shout in determining or influencing the outcome of combat had never been underestimated. It would seem that in Tibet and Japan, in particular, this technique had been perfected in ancient times and raised to the level of an art, that is, to the point of making a shout the sole weapon used, even in individual combat, as well as a primary reason for the successful conclusion of a combat encounter, thus differentiating it from the frightening but highly dispersive and indiscriminate shout of the horde. Indeed, the shout in the Japanese warrior endeavored to develop and control involved much more than a mere exercise in breath control and concentrated expiration. It was, as the name assigned to the art implies, a blending of various factors which comprise the entire personality of the warrior, physical and mental, all his powers being fused and channeled through the pitch, tone, and vibration of his voice. Moreover, at its highest levels, it did not even depend primarily upon volume. The quality of the sound produced by focusing the entire personality upon a single target being the main feature of kiai. Long years of training were required to produce the exact vocal integration which reportedly could kill an attacker or deflect his attack, and could even be used to cure. Harrison relates a number of episodes which illustrate the skill in kiai displayed by Master Kunishiga, a teacher of jiu-jitsu in the Shandin Ishin Ryu, who once revived a man laying unconscious after a heavy fall by employing a characteristically concentrated shout. But concerning the use of kiai shouts in real combat, other than the cries and grunts of competitors in modern judo and karate tournaments, common to various forms of wrestling the world over, and at to whether there are schools exact where the art is being systematically and effectively taught and practiced, the records available are regrettably vague. That is The Art of Kiai, K-I-A-I, from The Secrets of the Samurai. This is all factual stuff. It's not based on fantasy or made up. It's all factual stuff. So I'm going to end the video here and enjoy. I will be posting more. Bye.